15th, regular scheduled board meeting. At this time, I'd like to ask Vice Chairman Matthews to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and our invocation.
So rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Our Father, we do thank you for this opportunity we have to be here this evening to discuss the business and affairs of the county. We thank you for those that are here. We thank you for those who are serving. We thank you for our county government officials and the hard work they put in daily for the citizens of our county. We ask that you would watch over this meeting tonight, that you would bless each and every one and guide us and direct us as we make decisions for our citizens going forward. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Are there any additions or deletions or alterations to the published agenda? Mr. Manager,
Nope.
would you like to add item 9, sites 2 and 3 and 4?
Yes, that would be appreciated, yes.
Okay.
We're going to discuss that.
All right, the chair moves to add that sites 2, 3, and 4 under line item number 9, and which the manager will identify when we get to that point. Is there a motion to approve the amended agenda?
Chairman, I make the motion we approve the amended agenda.
Okay,
The
second?
agenda is amended.
Second.
Okay, the motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, Madam Clerk. Okay, item number 4, the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, Madam Clerk. All right, this time, item number 5 is a public comment period. Most of y'all have been here before, you know the rules. You have 3 minutes, total combined not to exceed 30 minutes. There will be no profanity or personal attacks will be tolerated. This time, I'd like to call Mr. Johnny Adams to the podium.
Good evening, everybody. Mr. Commissioner, Madam Commissioner, Chairman, Vice Chairman, members of the board. Again, I come today to talk about the 100% total and permanent veterans in Harnett County. I appreciate Mr. Nickel putting this on the working agenda and going to bring it before the legislature. But again, I know that there was a concern that it might be too much money that we're asking for, but I don't really think it is, because there's over 50,000 homes. And if y'all, I don't know how many times y'all drive around Harnett County, but everywhere you look, there's another neighborhood going up. So that number's only going to get added to more and more. And just like the meeting I was at a couple months back, y'all are approving more and more houses to be built every time we come to one of these meetings. So, I mean, that 50,000 on the tax rolls right now is only going to go up. And just like I was talking with Mr. Truesdale, he said that number for the veterans is going to go up too. Even if it goes up to 3,000 veterans, that'll mean that there'll probably be 60,000 homes that are on the tax rolls, not to include the 20,000 businesses that are also getting taxed here in Harnett County. But this basically the only thing that I'm asking, I'm not asking for Harnett County to take anything away from the state legislature. The only thing I'm asking for Harnett County to do is to be the first of the 100 counties in North Carolina to give this benefit to the 100% total and permanent veterans. That's all I'm asking for Harnett County to do. And just like y'all do with everything else, how you bring it up, you second it, and then you vote. If the ayes have it, that's all that has to happen. Again, I thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Sherry Houston. Thank you.
Hi, Sherry Ustak, Lillington, off of Matthews Road. And I came to speak tonight to the Board of Commissioners about building the new animal shelter. I've been at a couple of the meetings talking about trying to decide on a location. And I just want to be sure to put it in everybody's mind as this new shelter is considered to be built, whether it's from the site and site prep to the architect, that we are really forward thinking in creating a modern animal shelter and not just an animal housing pound like scenario. I'm a registered veterinary technician with a board specialty in animal behavior, and I work with a bunch of companies that really are talking about a fear-free experience for the animals, how that cuts down on illnesses, stress level, increases adoptions. So creating better pets so these pets are ready to go out into somebody's home and not just warehoused, deteriorate, and then are euthanized. So there's a lot that goes into the design process of a facility like that that really is going to either A, impact the animals that are going to be adoptable, the kind of animals that are going to be adoptable, and the kind of people they're going to want to, I don't mean kind, but people wanting to come to the shelter to adopt because it's a welcoming, friendly, relaxed, the animals are calm, comfortable. So just wanted to put that out there to consider that. Keep it in the back of your mind as you go forward, that we look at a representative sample of shelters across the country and look at some of the best of the best to get some ideas so that we know we're building for the future and not just our immediate, let's get it done. So if I could be of any assistance, I'm happy to contribute as well and reach out to other colleagues in the shelter community. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Larry Mitchell.
Honorable Commissioners, County Manager, staff that's here also. Tonight, I would like to support Mr. Adams in his position on the veterans. I'm also a veteran myself, and the tax department approved my request for the exemption. Last week's work session was on YouTube, and it was very interesting. The animal shelter topic came up, and the county commissioner talked about the veterans also. We need to really look at the veterans exemptions that the county currently has. But I do approve, lead the way in leadership in approving the veteran 100% disability criteria. Currently, there's 2,337 parcels enrolled in the Disabled Veteran Exclusion Program, and that tax department gave me that number. We have about 150,000 residents in the county. So when we do the budget coming up, we need to really look at our priorities. And the county manager talked about or requested the priorities from the commissioners to be provided. And that's very important when the budget comes up, your priorities. I do have my priorities, and as I get older, my priorities change. And it's based on the economy, crime, and so forth. But we really need to look at that. As I look around the room, we need to get more residents or citizens involved in our local government. And hopefully we can look at that and see if we can put out information to the community of getting people here and get involved in their local government. It's very important. I believe tomorrow in YMCA in Cameron, we're going to talk about the strategic plan. Citizens are going to come forward and bring their priorities. So that's important too. So citizens need to bring that up. Look at that strategic plan survey that's online right now. I filled it out, and hopefully many citizens will do the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Rivas.
Yeah, Jerry Rivas, 364 Twin Ponds Road, for anybody who wants to come visit me. You know, last month I came before y'all, told you about a Sheriff's Deputy Sergeant Mark Hornsby sending me electronic threats. I've been to court 3 times. Finally, this poor excuse for a judge, Resson Faircloth, recused himself and said we'd have to get a judge who doesn't know Sergeant Hornsby. And I asked him, I said, is there any judge in this county who doesn't know this idiot? He said, I can't speak to that. I said, speak to what? There's not a judge who doesn't know him, or the fact that he's an idiot? How can a sergeant on a sheriff's department be stupid enough to send somebody a threat on Facebook Instant Messenger? In this day and age, it's so easy to verify that it came from his account. I took screenshots of it and printed it out. Our magistrate wouldn't do anything. The sheriff's department wouldn't do anything. The district attorney wouldn't do anything. I get some nasty, nasty receptionist at the sheriff's department said, oh, he was probably hacked. I didn't know they had electronic, internet technologists for receptionists over there. There's some woman in the magistrate's office. I've known Mark Hornsby since he was 4 years old. I can't believe that. I don't care if she's known him for 150 years. But, it's... And we say the Pledge of Allegiance, and there's that line, liberty and justice for all. There's no justice in Harnett County. Come on, why did John Livingston's family have to sue the county and the sheriff's department and take 8 years for a settlement? That's justice? And Deputy Nick Cahagas is a deputy in another county? I'm going to court again the 22nd of this month. This is this coming Friday. And, this idiot, Faircloth, I filed a complaint with the Judicial Review Board about him. He's too lazy to be a judge. He doesn't want to be a judge, apparently. Maybe he's just bitter because they make him wear that stupid black dress all day. And as far as the DOT adding all these streets, the Harnett County DOT camp 25 years ago had like 70 employees. Now they got 12, I think. They can't take care of the roads we got. You guys are adding more and more roads. Why didn't the county start taking over some of this? God knows y'all got plenty of employees. I see a lot of white Harnett County trucks just driving around. And I don't know. When are we going to build a school instead of another subdivision? They're everywhere. When are we going to build another school? It's like you guys don't care as long as the money keeps rolling in.
Thank you.
Mr. Stephen Reeves.
My name is Stephen Reeves. I live at 21 Ithaca Lane. I wanted to address a few things stemming from my dog attack in November. January 23rd, I submitted a request to be put in touch with the Harnett County Dangerous Dog Committee on January 23rd. I've heard nothing from Harnett County. I filled out a dangerous dog report on the one dog that did attack me that got returned to the house on January 4th. January 16th at 10:41 a.m., I put a phone call into Animal Control, left a message. I would like to be called back. I have questions about that dog being walked by my house, not in accordance with the dangerous dog paperwork I filled out. I never heard from Animal Control. Right now, I feel like this county ignores the things they don't like to hear about. The only way I'm going to get answers, I want my questions answered, but I want them answered face to face. I do not want to email with Harnett County anymore because I feel like Harnett County and the internet are not getting along very well. Last 2 months, I submitted my request to speak here in the public forum, and last 2 months I've been skipped. And last month I did raise my hand and you guys moved on. You guys have a dangerous dog problem needs to be addressed, kind of like the 2017 attack of an 87-year-old man with 3 pit bulls in Harnett County. We have one board member who's here who was on the board back in 2017, and I would like to know, did anything get addressed? Has anything changed in Harnett County holding people accountable for dangerous dogs in this community? As you know, a lot of subdivisions are going up. You're going to add a whole lot of people here. You better get a grip on the dangerous dog problem in this county. My neighbor who owned the 5 dogs had a special exclusion for dogs on our homeowner's policy, which left me and my wife holding about 20 some odd $1,000 in medical bills. With living next door to a woman we can't even take into court because she doesn't own a darn thing. She got fences falling down. The best part is 9 days ago, I took her to small claims court. Great. I won $10,000 in small claims. That's the best I can do. Judge had no problem siding with me. But I love when she put her left hand on a Bible, raised her right hand, and told the judge I no longer owned any dogs. And I take pictures every day of the new puppy she got about 6 to 8 weeks ago. I have questions of animal control about that day. 11 minutes that officer stood on my property and watched me get ripped to pieces. 11 minutes. And did that officer ever make a call to anyone asking for someone who could do something? Because obviously this officer was not trained to do a darn thing. I've been told by animal control the only thing they carry is a neck collar. I said, well, she had a fence separating the attack going on from her. Why didn't she try a neck collar? That tends to make situations worse, I was told. Well, for me, with 5 pit bulls, it was pretty much as bad as it can get. Nothing was going to make it any worse. The other thing is, after 14 minutes of this attack, when my neighbor did show up with a handgun, me and my wife screaming at Johnny to shoot them, shoot them, shoot them, your employee told my neighbor, you cannot shoot. This is not your property. I wonder why. Go.
Sorry, your time's running.
I understand that. I've been skipped for 2 months. I need an extra minute. So I want to know what rights your employee has on my property to tell my neighbor he can't save a man's life on my property. I pay property taxes for my property. I was told it was a public safety thing. Well, you're not in public space. This is my private property where your employee did this. Now, I would like some answers to my questions. I don't expect them tonight, but I do expect them before the next meeting.
Thank you, sir. Pass that down to the clerk. Okay, item number 6. We're going to public hearing for a proposed text amendment on Plan 2402-03, Harnett County Development Services Unified Development Ordinance, Article 9, Section 10.2.1.
Right, thank you, Commissioners. Sarah Arbor here from Harnett County Development Services, and it's a pleasure to be here before you all tonight. So Harnett County Development Services is proposing a text amendment, and it would be a revision to the Unified Development Ordinance, Article 11, Section 10.2.1. So the purpose of this text amendment is to revise the language in the ordinance which specifies the review officer's procedure for reviewing plats. Currently, the ordinance states that the review officer shall review each map or plat prior to being submitted to the Register of Deeds for recording. However, it was brought to the attention of Planning Services that the ordinance does not fully comply with the North Carolina General Statute 47-30.2. So under North Carolina General Statute, some types of plats, such as control surveys or existing boundary plats, are actually exempt from having to receive the review officer certification before being recorded with the Register of Deeds. So our proposed text amendment, after working with the Register of Deeds, GIS, and Legal, would revise our section for the review officer appointment to read that the review officer shall review each map or plat required to be submitted for review prior to being submitted to the Register of Deeds for recording. Staff is recommending approval for this because of compliance with the state statute. And on the March 4th Planning Board, the board voted 5-0 to also approve the proposed text amendment, and there was nobody present at the meeting to speak in opposition. The staff is open for any questions. Thank you.
Any questions for staff? Okay. Hearing none, we'll come out of public hearing and call it a vote first. Oh, that's right, I gotta open the floor. Are there anyone here to speak for this text amendment? Hearing none, is there anyone here to speak against this text amendment? All right, this time, we'll come out of public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept the proposed text amendment change, Plan 24020003.
Okay. The motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, Madam Clerk. Then item number 7, discuss and consider an approval of the lease agreement with the Stick Boy Bread Company to operate a food and beverage business specializing in coffee, beverages, smoothies, pastries in the Resource Center and Library Snack Bar, room 131. And as you can see, the terms are listed below it.
Yes, good evening, Chair. This has been presented to you before, but in accordance with statute, it was advertised prior to today's meeting. But just very briefly, it is a one-year lease with Stick Boy Bread Company Bakery out of Wake County. They will be operating in the cafe that is downstairs on the first floor of this building. It's for the purpose of operating a coffee shop. They'll serve coffee and some other prepackaged goods. They'll have the option to renew for 2 additional 2-year terms. And to begin with, the rent will be $250 per month, and that will go up 10% at each renewal. And then their hours will be, they're required to operate from 7:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. each day, from Monday through Friday, while this building is open. If you have any other questions, have to answer them. Otherwise, we'll be asking for approval of this lease agreement.
Question, staff?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Exactly where is this gonna be located? Is it on the end down there?
Yeah, so downstairs at the in the atrium area at the end with the roll-up door
Okay,
out in the atrium
got you.
downstairs. Yes, ma'am. That's that little area.
yeah, I got you.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the lease agreement with Stick Boy Bread Company for the Resource Center and Library.
All right, motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
Item number 8, discuss and consider request from Hardin County Department of Social Services the approval of 8 additional positions and a reclass of 1 data entry operator to an income maintenance technician and renovations with the use of lap salary money to install carpet, pull down wallpaper and paint walls.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, or good evening. Thank you for letting me come. The first item I want to talk about is the need for DSS to ask for 8 additional positions for Medicaid expansion. As you know, Medicaid expansion began December the 1st of 2023. In the last 3 months, DSS has 10,142 new Medicaid expansion cases added to our number, giving us a total of 35,029 Medicaid cases in Harnett County. When Medicaid expansion was first talked about, we were expected to have around 9,700 cases, and in just 3 months, we've already surpassed that. Excuse me. Currently, we have, with those 35,029 cases, we only have 27 workers able to work those cases, and that equals out to about 1,300 cases per month that those, or 1,300 cases per year that those workers have to work. That's around 108 cases per month. This does not take into account the number of new applications that they have to take, the changes that those workers have to make, along with trainings, meetings, and other duties that they have to perform. In talking with this, in some of our jobs over there, like social work positions, the state gives us caseload sizes, recommended caseload sizes for positions. but they do not for income maintenance or Medicaid cases. So what we have done, we've contacted other counties. Lee County, for example, they're averaging 850 cases per worker. Johnston County is averaging 1,200 cases per worker, and they're asking for new positions. Onslow County is asking for, they average around 1,300 cases per worker, and they're also asking for new positions. Some things that we have done internally to try to help with this instead of just coming to ask for new positions. We have income maintenance caseworker ones that I work with Mr. Trout on, and we reclassified those individuals to income maintenance caseworker twos. That way they're able to take the application, process the application, and then the third duty, they're able to do recertifications. Just as an income maintenance caseworker one, they were only able to do one role. And since we reclassified them, they can do two roles now. But we covered their salary increases with Medicaid expansion money that was given to us by the state. If we're able to get these 5 additional workers, the caseload sizes will decrease from $1,297 a year or $1,297 per worker to $1,094. That's about 200 cases less per worker. That would give us a total of 32 caseworkers, and that would be, like I said, around 1,094 cases per worker or 91 cases a month that they have to complete. We looked at ways that we could cover that cost for May and June. I presented to Mr. Trout, and Kimberly was going to work the numbers, trying to cover that cost of May and June with lapsed salary, because it takes an average anywhere from 6 to 9 months to get these employees trained, any new employees trained. So we can sort of go ahead and get the ball rolling if we get the approval. So I wanted to try to cover this cost through lapsed salary. We're asking, like I said, also for some additional positions beside the 5 income maintenance caseworkers. When you have an increase in caseload sizes and in responsibilities from the state, you also need, we need 2 quality assurance individuals to monitor cases, to do trainings when they see there's areas of weakness. And they'll provide training to all these employees. Also, with the increase in the number of employees, we need an income maintenance supervisor too, to manage the increase in the new employees, monitor the cases, train staff, monitor reports, perform evaluations on employees, and work with state monitors when they come in our office and we're being audited. And also another change we'd like to do is to reclass a data entry operator to an income maintenance tech. This would allow that person, currently they're answering phones, answering questions about Medicaid expansion, and then they have to do a referral to the caseworker that actually manages that case. If we're able to reclassify them to an income maintenance technician, instead of sending a referral for someone else to do the job, they can actually have access in NC Fast to go in NC Fast, do address changes, household size changes, request additional Medicaid cards. They can make those changes for those workers. One good thing about Medicaid expansion, since Medicaid expansion started, the county is getting reimbursed now at 75% reimbursement from the state instead of the old 50% reimbursement rate. The numbers that I worked with Lisa McFadden to work up, the numbers for May and June to cover these new positions would be $89,262. The good thing about that is, like I said, we get 75% reimbursement, and that would put us around, the county being responsible for around $22,000 for that. If we carry these positions over to next, if we're able to get them and carry them over for the next budget, the increase would be $535,369 for the new budget. But with the county getting 75% reimbursement from the state, the county share for the new positions would only be $133,000, $133,842. So that is the first request I have, is that we be allowed to hire 8 additional positions to assist with Medicaid expansion. You want me to go and talk about the second one?
Yes, by all means.
Okay.
Cover all your stuff.
All right. The second part is, I would like to ask the county to reinvest some money back into DSS building. We could also, I'm looking at also trying to use lap salary to install carpet, pull down old wallpaper and paint the walls. We've been in that building since October of 1996. Graciously through you all, we're able to start the process and work with Coley and all them on starting the process of trying to finish our second floor upstairs. But I've also talked to Mr. Trout that, we've got the remaining part of the building that needs some upgrade as well. I'd like to use the lap salary to reinvest back into the DSS building. I'd like to put down carpet into hallways where we've had individuals slip and fall on the white tiles that we have. We've had some almost slip and fall. The wallpaper, like I said, has been up there since '96. It's separating. It's coming off the walls in some areas. I'd like to remove that commercial type wallpaper, pull that down, sand those walls and paint. This new carpet and painting will be something that all the employees can enjoy. Facelift for the original building. This would enhance the building, but it would also make the employees feel better about their working environment. It shows the employees that the county is reinvesting where those individuals work, and it's something, like I said, that all employees could enjoy. We have gotten one estimate. I'm in the process of working with Andrew Paint and Wallpaper on getting a second estimate. The first estimate is from Southeastern Interiors, and that estimate is $79,944 to do that work. The gentleman came from Andrew Paint and Wallpaper last week to look at the carpet. A second gentleman is supposed to come to give us a price on the pulling the wallpaper down and doing the painting. I have found out today that we might be able to get some of this cost reimbursed or indirect cost report with the state. We report things that we do for the building, and part of that is also costs like this. And right now, the cost report, we're averaging around 50%. So whatever we send up to the state in the indirect cost report, we're getting about 50% back right now. I'm hoping that this could also fall in that category as well. That's all I have. Are there any questions?
Questions for staff?
I have questions. You say you all been in this building since 1996?
Yes, ma'am. October of 1996.
No renovation has been done to the building since then?
They have done some minor things. We've had some wallpaper that was already coming down, and that's back before Kenneth Snipes came on board as the facility maintenance supervisor. Some of that was pulled down. We had some minor painting. There's been some painting in their stairwells, but those are things that every few years, your hands and everything, stairwells need to be, but no major renovations, no ma'am.
One more question. You said that you're helping to use some lap salary.
Yes, ma'am.
Kim, and I thought you were supposed to look at that and see if that's there?
Yes, ma'am, I did, and I'm ready to talk about that.
Okay.
If you're okay. All right, so working with Paul and his staff, we took a look at the salaries and adjusting for, there's a couple of overtime lines that are over that need to be addressed, but after kind of projecting out the salaries and what he does have, he currently has $444,000 left, but we need to adjust out the new positions requested, the reclassifications, and also there are a handful of positions that are scheduled to start, so we backed out those individual salaries, and that brings a remaining lap salary balance of $154,236, give or take, and that's an approximated amount. So
can we do this with that amount?
if the quotes come in within line, yes, ma'am, you would have enough left to do that. But we would need to work with our procurement manager to go out and get those three estimates as required.
Well, I'm going to say this. I think that Medicaid expansion is a great thing for this county, for the citizens of this county. And I make a motion that we approve a portion of his request.
Okay.
Could I ask a question?
Well,
Second.
I was fixing to make
Second.
a suggestion, but, yeah, if I would, why don't you put a cap on, because he doesn't know what his second bid's gonna be.
Okay.
Make it contingent on it not being higher than, say, $85,000. If everybody can live with that, and that way at least we know there's a ceiling there.
I
But we've
can
already
amend my
got
motion.
we've already got a bid of 79,000, so why would you make it 85?
Make it 79 then. I just threw that number out there, but, assuming that this bid is one we want to go with.
Well, would that be enough, the $79,000? Do you think that would
Well,
be adequate for it?
the first bid through Southeastern is $79,944, so it's right at $80,000.
Okay. Well, then I amend my motion that says $79,000.
Okay.
Because it's needed. I mean,
Is 79,000 even, or are we gonna,
Well, obviously, the low bid today is 79,944, so the only thing the other two can do is come in higher or lower, so we say 79,994, then we're guaranteed to be able
Not to exceed.
not to exceed $79.99.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, that would be my motion.
second?
And I'm making the motion simply because I know it's much needed. Now, one more question. How, if you're gonna do the renovation, how are you gonna do this? You gonna do it, in the daytime with the workers there?
Well, I've talked to, like I said, Kenneth Snipes over maintenance. I've also talked to the gentleman from Southeastern, and we can do it numerous ways. They can, Kenneth can give approval for somebody to be there for weekend work if needed. When they have done work, they could do it at night, or they could do it in sections of the building, and we could have, staff out or whatever. So I'm willing to accommodate whatever they need, and we could work with Kenneth Snipes over maintenance regarding that.
Okay.
All right, motion's been made, properly seconded. Is
I
there
have
any
one more question.
Hang on, I'm just getting into further discussion. Now, go ahead.
This 79,944, is that a rounded number? What's the actual?
No, sir, that's the actual number.
That's the actual
Yes,
number.
sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
That includes labor, everything.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Any other comments from the board?
I do have a question for clarification, Mr. Chair. Ms. Honeycutt, I believe that figure, that 154,000 figure you gave us, that was after backing out those 2 months of salaries for these positions he had asked for. And so then we'd be backing out 79,944 out of the 154, so we're sitting there with a cushion of about 74,000 more or less.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Sir. And can I also say, would it be better if Paul and I worked with our procurement manager to secure the 3 quotes as required and then bring that back to you possibly at the next work session? And then that way you can make a definite
Well,
approval of a dollar amount?
I think that as long as they put the not to exceed, we're probably okay.
I've already made that motion, not to exceed.
And personally, I know we've done work with and done a lot of work with where I sit with Southeastern, so I have no complaints with them if they are the low bid. I don't see any reason to exclude them, so I think we're good to go with where we are today.
Well, typically we get 3 quotes.
We will have
We'll
to.
have to.
Go ahead and get the other 2.
If we get a lower quote that's lower with a reputable company that we don't have any issues with in past history, then we'll be cheaper than what we've agreed to put as the cap.
Well, that's a given. What thing?
Okay. With further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, Madam Clerk.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the 8 additional positions in the reclass of a data entry operator and income maintenance tech
That was part of
for the social services.
That was part of her
Thought it
motion.
was all part of the same.
I thought it was just for the, then no, man, disregard.
All right.
I thought we skipped that one.
Okay. Item number 9, discuss a request for the Board of Commissioners to consider and give preliminary approval of sites 2, 3, and 4, and approve issuance of a request for qualifications for architect engineering firms to design future animal shelter. Now, at this time, Barry, if you'll hold tight a minute, Mr. Manager, if you want to take a moment of privilege and.
Sure,
what you-
I will, and Barry will explain further what they did, but after the last meeting, we had before mentioned what is, we're calling Site 4, which is a piece of property that's located on Alexander, south of Development Services, on the other side of the railroad tracks, down by the Harts facility. It is a piece of property that we own. It's heavily wooded. It has some slope, and there were some concerns that Barry expressed related to additional work that would be needed. What I wanted to confirm, and I'll let him explain what their findings were, was whether or not it was a possible site and what would be the issues that would be identified if we were to put it on that site. Because it may be that compared to the other sites, that's a better use of that property given what we intend to use it for. And so I'll let Barry explain what they found.
Floor is yours, Mr. Blevins.
I was ready to walk away because it was explained pretty good. So the manager did ask us to go. So I met with our our engineer, Bill Drexler, and we walked the property. And it is as I described it. I'm not trying to make it any lower or any higher, but it is as described. So it's a slopey area. What we found was it was a dumping ground for other soils somewheres because it's like this, the entire property. We didn't walk all the way back because it's not just one parcel, it's 324 acres, the entire parcel is. However, we did look at it, and Bill did come up with some statements. So the one thing it is feasible for development, as he says. There's some things that would, in his opinion, would be required, and it still goes back to doing an RFQ, hiring an engineer, and let them assess that site. But anyway, some of the things that he's talked about, it is going to require permitting because there is wetlands further down the slope. There will be a stormwater issue like it would be any property that you do. So it would be worth looking at that or taking it in. Wetland mapping will be required. I mean, it's already mapped. However, I'm sure with any changes there, they'd have to do that. The site that I envision, if you're on that site, that you'd be at the top of the hill by the railroad tracks because the rest of it's going to be a lot of dirt moving. And again, I'm not an engineer or architect. But Bill did say a couple different things that is fairly nice. You can use the same dirt because it's all there. You can move it around. Couple side effects is just part of construction is you'll have to haul off all the trees because you can't burn in the town limits. So the bottom line is there is additional cost for site prep. So in comparison to the other ones, it's probably not as much. However, it is a fairly good site for those purposes. So, and then at the same time, we went ahead and looked at Site 3, which is right on McKinney, and that's a doable site, obviously for less cost. So again, just to clarify, just so I can say I said it, it is in front of the General Services building, right behind or right when you cross the tracks. Before you go into Shiner Park, you look to the right. It's not where that extra road is. If you've been down there, it starts going up hills from right there. So I will say at the top of the hill, I have to be honest, I look down the hills and it's a beautiful site for that. But we did walk it, and again, those are the things. And what we really need to get to, and that's the reason we asked for preliminary approval, is so that we can generate an RFQ, negotiate a contract with the architect engineer, and then task them to look at the sites or any other things we need to look at that time as part of our negotiations with the architect engineer. And I'm confident we're going to get some good selections. People are building shelters and they're building as modern, and our studies proven that is the way to go. So it's important for us to get the right thing. It's important for the board to get the right thing for what we do. So is there any additional questions? I hope I explained it. I can't explain it as good as the manager, but.
I'm going to ask Ben, do you have the slides from last week that you can bring up?
I think there's on the desktop.
That it shows sites 2 and 3?
Yeah, so site 2 right there is behind the RCL, or behind the library RCL. And that's site 3, again on the corner of McKinney and the driveway. And there's not a site for that one. It was on a previous slide.
Share everybody's mind on side to it.
However, you know, either way, I think it's really going to take an engineer architect to look at it and give a good opinion for the board to consider.
Now, how much extra work or is it going to cost us more in order to add this other site?
Well, I mean, using his pardon the pun, broad strokes and what he said it could conservatively cost $1 million more.
No, I meant as far as getting through the engineer, the architect and engineer for the RFQ.
Yes, there will be additional costs.
There will
If
be, yes.
you have them do the site part, that's really, when you do an RFP, it'll be 2 phases. There'll be a first phase, which will be a site assessment phase with a recommendation. And so then we'll bring the final site to you. And then there would be a next phase, which would be design of the building on that site. So there would be 2 phases. I would expect we're looking at 15 to 20,000 probably to do that discussion to ensure that we have the best site.
Well, would that be an additional adding this site 4 to be looked at as well?
I think adding the site 4. I mean, if we pick one, we would just move forward with design. That would be the RFP that we would sit out. Our RFQ would be, we're going to design it on this site, give us your best. Otherwise, we would have a additional first phase, which would be help us determine which site, and then they would design from that decision.
Here, let me clearly state what I was asking. We have 2 currents, the sites 2 and 3, before adding this 4th one.
Yes.
To be looked at.
Right.
Now, if we sent them 4 sites to look at and take into consideration instead of just 2 that we currently have, or 3, is that going to be additional, considerable additional cost?
There will be additional cost if we ask them to evaluate the site selection. If we don't provide them specifically a site, there will be additional cost to that process.
I would like to actually see Site 1 be relooked at as well in the RFQ for this preliminary plan.
I thought we made a motion that we would eliminate site 1.
We're also bringing Site 4 back, and my concern would be if we went with Site 2 over Site 1, as the concerns are for the noise and whatnot for the inmates, my concern would be putting it right out in front of a library. You know, if we're concerned about noise, pardon me, for inmates, it doesn't make much sense to put it right out in front of a library.
So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, the cost would be so much to do a site review. And so having 4 sites to do that site review process, you're really not going to add much additional cost to have 4 sites to review versus 3.
Okay. Well,
we voted, or we discussed submitting an RFQ for 2 sites. Now we're wanting to add 1 and now actually add a second to the 2 that we, as a board, last Tuesday recommended that we look at. I think we go with what we originally agreed on last Tuesday, and that's an RFP to evaluate sites 2 and 3.
I'll put mine in the form of a motion. Make a motion that we consider sites 1, 2, 3, and 4 for a preliminary request or a request for qualifications for an architect and engineer firm for the animal shelter.
I make a motion that we table any further discussion on site 1.
If you'll hold your motion, there's a motion on the floor.
Mine takes precedence, I'm sorry.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
The motion on the floor takes precedence. Okay, now, as soon as he finishes, you're welcome to make your motion. But he was first, the motion on the floor makes, until it's resolved, that's it. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Always thought it did.
Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Uh,
Ayes have it, 3-2, Madam Clerk. Now, Mr. Weatherspoon, would you like to proceed with your motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to table an RFP for Site 1.
Okay, motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Ayes, the opposition has it, Madam Clerk. Okay,
Can I speak?
yes, ma'am. Like the floor, go ahead.
I'm not understanding what you're doing here. Because I thought we eliminated Site 1 last week. Because it was behind the jail or the sheriff department there. I don't understand why we want to put an animal shelter there on that spot. Is that the spot we're talking about, or am I confused?
No, that's correct.
I don't understand it. But we discussed this last week, and we agreed to eliminate that spot.
As well as Site 4.
And
which
then he was
brought
gonna
back up
bring
as
the
well.
other site back today.
That's right.
Well,
So-
I'm at fault since I was sick and not able to be at the meeting last week, but as I understand it, the motion would allow us to have someone to come in and assess all the 4 sites, come back to us, give us that information, then we would make that decision on which site we felt would best fit our needs for this new animal shelter.
But that is the motion that you made a while ago?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, now I'm in favor of that. I got confused. I want to make sure, because he kept talking about Site 1.
Well, that one, we would get information back on that one just like we would 2, 3, and 4.
We eliminated that last week.
And you may have, and I was not
We
here,
did.
that's why I say. But I would like to see the information that comes back on all of those possible sites.
And like was discussed last Tuesday, we have enough problems in the detention center right now without adding additional problems. And the sheriff is definitely opposed to putting an animal shelter on Site 1.
Was there a vote on that last week?
We don't vote at work sessions.
That's what I thought. So we voted tonight and we'll consider all 4 of these sites. And then if we decide to eliminate one, when the information comes back, we can do it.
But that's not what the consensus was at the work session last week.
I'm still with it.
Item number 10, the county manager's report.
Thank you, Chairman. One of the report that I will be out of the office Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to attend a meeting orientation session in Washington, D.C. As part of an Army Fellows Program, which we will have a deputy garrison commander that will visit Harnett County to learn about county operations and be able to then utilize that information that he gains in order to be able to do his job better. And it's a program that is in conjunction with the International City Managers Association and the Department of Defense. So I'll be going up for an orientation program. The expenses for this trip are paid for by the Army. And so we do not have, there will be no expense for Harnett County as it relates to this program. Mr. Price will be here on Wednesday and Thursday. And then we'll have Mr. Appel will be filling in on Friday. If you need something, he'll be here to be able to assist with that. I need approval of budget amendments and also approval of tax rebates and refunds and releases, Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve budget amendments as requested by the finance officer.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve tax rebates, refunds, and releases as requested by the tax administrator.
Second.
Motion has been made. Is there a second? Oh, you made the second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, Madam Secretary. Number 11, new business.
None.
Hearing none, we'll move on. Mr. Counselor, is there a need for a closed session?
Yes. I make a motion that, board go into closed session for the following purposes: to consult with the county legal staff in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege concerning the handling of certain litigation and a claim including the following listed case: Jeremy Brees versus Sheriff Wayne Coates and Travelers Casualty and Surety Company of America, Harnett County Superior Court, file number 23CV 4077-420. This motion is made pursuant to NC General Statute, Section 143-318.11A3.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none, moving to go in closed session. Item number 13, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion to adjourn,
Yeah,
Mr.
there's a
Chairman.
motion on the floor. You gonna second?
Second.
A motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, Madam Clerk. Everybody get up and go home.